So friends, here we are. We just started the live feed, and I want to share with you right away what we are seeing right now thanks to our telescopes. I'm just going to grab a new image, and then I will start telling you what is happening. At least I want to make sure we do have the moon. Here it is actually. Let me see if I can just adjust parameters. Here we are. Okay. Just checking that the system is up and running. And here it is, our moon, my friends. And the eclipse is already ongoing. As you know, this is just a penumbral eclipse, and I want to make sure you see how the bottom right portion of the moon is a bit darker than the rest of the moon, than the usual moon. This is happening because, as I told, we are just facing penumbral eclipse. I'm just trying to adjust the exposure. The moon is just rising, so it is quite low. But I think here you can have quite a good idea. Let me check how I can improve the focus. We are just beginning, so I could not see the moon earlier. As it was just rising. And this is the best I can have now. Let me reduce the exposure here. Here we are, my friends. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Gianluca Massi speaking from Rome, from the Virtual Telescope Project, and it is such a pleasure for me to welcome so many people, thousands of people joining from everywhere around the planet to have a look at this marginal eclipse, a penumbral lunar eclipse just happening right now. The maximum of this penumbral eclipse will be reached in about 10 minutes, and of course this is a subdual event because we are just crossing the penumbra of our Earth. You know, where an eclipse is ongoing, you have three actors. You have the sun, that is the source of the light. You have the Earth producing its shadow, and you have the moon jumping into the shadow of the Earth. And how beautiful, how dark the lunar eclipse will be, how complete, it depends on how much the moon will jump into the Earth shadow. Totality is when the entire lunar disk is well inside the Earth shadow. Partial, when just part of the moon is in the Earth shadow. And you have the penumbra when you are not in the full Earth shadow, but in the Earth penumbra. In other words, the penumbra is there because there is at least a portion of the sun left free. The Earth is just covering part of the solar disk as seen from the moon. And here you can see how the bottom left here is clearly darker, my friends. And this is a clear signature of the ongoing eclipse. Let me see if I can still take another image, trying to adjust the exposure to be sure we do have the eclipse well covered. Let me ask the system, by the way, to take images automatically every 20 seconds. And I'm happy that we are at least enjoying a clear sky, because here in Rome it has been cloudy all the day. Honestly, I was a bit worried I could actually run this live feed, and we are doing so. Even if the moon is very low, as the eclipse was reaching its maximum while the moon was basically rising, we still have to go through the maximum. And I'm trying also to use a larger camera, a large field of view, but you can easily see how the bottom right of the lunar disk is basically darker, a bit darker. I'm very sure that if you don't know about the eclipse, you will never note what is happening. I'm just trying to use both the telescope and the lens and I will have to refine focus, but the moon is so bright, so low above the horizon, that basically the atmospheric turbulence is making it not possible to get a better focus than this, but still trying, still hoping to succeed. How beautiful is the moonrise right now, I must say. I think I have here the best possible focus, so I will stay with this. And I will use the telescope, so I can give you a more detailed image of the moon. And please note how this border of the moon is clearly darker than the opposite one, because it is on the bottom right that the penumbra is, the hair penumbra, where the moon is marginally jumping into. Let me see how the next image will look like. Okay, just trying, I apologize, I'm just trying to find the best scale to offer you the best experience. And look here on the bottom right how the lunar disk is significantly darker. Trust me, it is basically not possible to see this by naked eye. I believe so. But still happy that we have clear skies and that we can do this for you everywhere around the planet, joining the virtual telescope project. So again, welcome to this live feed offered by the Virtual Telescope Project. Gianluca Masi is speaking from Rome, Italy, and we are happy to see so many people joining this opportunity to spy the moon live. Here we are, my friends. We had a problem, I discovered now, but here we are starting this live feed now with the full moon showing at its best, and above all we have an hint of the lunar penumbral lunar eclipse. In fact, if you look on the bottom right of the lunar disk, you will easily see here how it is a bit darker than the rest of the disk. This is because, as I told you earlier, while we still were waiting for live images, the moon is marginally just jumping into the Earth penumbra. Very likely you have seen total lunar eclipse and you have been amazed by the red color of that eclipse. Nothing of this is happening here, because this time the moon is just marginally kissing the Earth shadow, and you can see here on the bottom right an evidence of that darkening. What is happening here? If you were on the moon right now and you were looking at the sun, you will see the Earth disk between you and the sun covering part of the solar disk. The sun is the source of the light, and as the Earth is just covering part of the solar disk, there is a fraction of the solar disk not covered by the Earth still sending you a lot of light on the moon, and this is why we have the penumbra. On the contrary, you have the umbra when from the region in the lunar disk, in the umbra, you don't see the sun anymore, because the sun is completely covered by the Earth disk. In other words, we have the penumbral lunar eclipse because from the lunar point of view, it is seeing a partial solar eclipse. There are no regions on the moon from where the solar disk will be totally covered by the Earth disk. And this is why this is just penumbra, my friends. How beautiful it is, I must say. Let me try the other, more panoramic lens. Here it is. Just trying to... Let me see if I can adjust here as well the exposure. How low the moon is here. The strawberry full moon, as my American friends say. You can see the bottom right of the moon, as I told you, darker than usual. And in a couple of minutes we will be just reaching the maximum of the eclipse. And you easily understand how subtle this is to see, because it is already difficult from these images, friends. If I take a faster image, perhaps the darkening on the bottom right is more apparent, but still I believe you will agree this is a truly subtle eclipse. Nothing to do with the spectacular total eclipse. But still amazing, I think. Let me take an image again with my telescope to offer you a larger lunar disk. Here it is. Look how large is this, and still please note the gentle subtle darkening of the bottom right of the lunar disk. This is because of the penumbral lunar eclipse. We had another penumbral eclipse at the beginning of the year, which was a bit more evident, by the way, and it was from there that I created the poster of the live feed, the one we have seen at the beginning. Let me check, I can do something better. As for the focus, because I really want to be sure that we get the best possible from the moon, even if the conditions are far from being ideal. Okay, and right now, my friends, we are at the maximum of the eclipse, and still note the darkening of this portion of the moon. The bottom right of the moon is a bit darker than the upper right, the upper left, sorry. So the strawberry full moon, by the way, the full moon is of course a mandatory condition to have the eclipse. Telling that at least you have a reasonably good alignment between the three involved bodies, that is the sun, the earth and the moon. Just let me check, I can still improve the focus on the telescope. I see how difficult it is because the atmosphere is very turbulent, and basically we are lucky enough to have clear skies at least. But it is amazing that we can of course see the darkening on the bottom right of the lunar disk. Again, back to the telescope. The partial lunar eclipse is ongoing, and a couple of minutes ago we had its maximum, and even at maximum it was hard, honestly, to see the darkening of the bottom right border of the moon. But still, I hope you can have a hint for it. Which is, at least on the image, relatively easy to see. The moon is here, and please note also how beautiful our natural satellite is. Truly amazing, I believe. This is happening live. I am based in Rome. Let me switch on camera, the other camera. And look how subtle, how hard to capture is the bottom right darkening of the lunar disk. We will have another similar event in 1 month, next full moon, early next July. How beautiful. How impressive. I have been observing much better eclipses than this, but every time is just an amazing experience for me. And I really hope that you are enjoying this experience. With our moon slowly leaving the center of the event. It was already hard to grab it actually, but at least we could document it a bit thanks to our instruments. I want to reduce the exposure. How beautiful it is. The full moon, not the best friend for astronomers, because when the full moon is on we sleep because its light is making hard for us to see everything else. But still, how beautiful the experience every time, and how happy I am to share this with you, friends. We are just observing our satellite live. Images are coming back to back from Rome, thanks to the Virtual Telescope project. I'm trying from time to time to refine the focus, but still I believe this is the best we can do. As our natural satellite is really low above the horizon, still rising of course, and now the darkening on the bottom right is harder and harder to see because we are leaving the already pale eclipse, friends. Perhaps a better image. You can still see really pretty well the darkening of this portion of our satellite really well, I believe. how beautiful every time is for us sharing all this live. How beautiful, really. And this is the moon at its best. So we are already living the already modest eclipse. But I'm happy. I could make many of you happy. And you can easily see how the bottom right is still darker. I have two telescopes imaging here. But by naked eye, I have really in trouble to see any evidence of the pale darkening, and it is already hard to see this on the images. More and more to come, but as I told, we are already living the best moment, while the bottom right is still a bit darker. And that is telling us that we are still in the Earth penumbra. Let me take faster. Here it is again. And we are just trying to keep an eye on the penumbra. So you can see how the right border is still a bit darker. I told you this is a penumbral lunar eclipse, so it is of all the possible lunar eclipses, this is the less interesting, because the effects of the Earth shadow are very subtle, and in this case in particular it was truly a marginal eclipse, but still, thanks to the imaging, we can guess how darker the bottom right is. I am here in Rome. All this is coming to you from my balcony, essentially. And still a lot of fun looking at it. I'm just looking at this personally, and as I told you, while it's a joy to look at the moon rising, as for the effects of the penumbra, I cannot say anything. I cannot see anything by my own eye, and also you can see how the shadow is now approaching the right border of the moon, because the moon is moving through the shadow, and the respect of the shadow, the moon is moving on to the bottom left. Okay, so the shadow is apparently moving in the opposite direction, so the moon is leaving this way from here to the upper right. I'm so happy that so many people, thousands of people all around the planet, decided to join, and I remind you that if you like what we do, you can support the Virtual Telescope project by donations. It is up to you if you want to support us, if you like what we do, and if you want, we continue to do what you see. We have been very busy these last weeks with asteroids approaching our planet, and the near-Earth asteroids are, by the way, perhaps our best friends. And still I find all these amazing that I had the capability to bring this to you in real time, thanks to the technology. Let me reduce here. Our full moon, always happy to amaze us with its show. Still checking if I can do something better for the focus. But as I told you, the limit here is the atmosphere today. I was not sure I could actually run the live feed because of the clouds. It has been raining quite a lot recently, the last 2 days here in Rome. And we are slowly approaching the end of this. How beautiful every time for me to face the night sky and bring this beauty to you. I try to adjust the focus, not sure of the effects, but this is already the best I can have actually. So I will stay with this for a while we are slowly leaving the eclipse. How beautiful the night sky is, and I hope that the virtual telescope experience will inspire you to go out there and look at the night sky by yourself. You can hear also real life noise all around. I am not on a pristine site, I'm just in Rome, observing from home and likely bringing this to you at home. Hope that you like what we are seeing. And in a few minutes, again, you can see the gentle darkening of the right part of the lunar disk. I think it should be relatively easy to see now. So friends, I'm going to close this now, after that we had a look for a while. At least we could see the maximum, if a maximum was ever noted, as this was a truly marginal penumbral lunar eclipse. We just crossed the most external region of the Earth shadow, and if you were on the moon, you just saw a partial solar eclipse. In order to have the deep shadow on the moon, you at least need to have some portions of the moon seeing the solar total eclipse. In other words, tonight every portion of the moon received light from the sun, which was just partially covered by our Earth in the middle. That said, friends, Gianluca Masi, the Virtual Telescope Project, is sending you his best wishes and greetings. Hope you are fine, that you are safe, and that you are carefully, as we are still, at least in Italy, behaving carefully to face the coronavirus issue, which is of course going down, but still we are carefully behaving to keep this under control. It has been a pleasure for me to join, to offer this site. If you want, you can subscribe the Virtual Telescope Project Facebook page, and from there you will learn in real time everything about our future live streamings. We cover a lot of things. We have been doing a lot of things over the last weeks, for example, and I suggest you to join our Facebook page if you want to stay up to date. That is all, my friends, and I really hope you will keep an eye on the sky. Take care, my friends. Gianluca Masi, Virtual Telescope Project.